This is David Prosper, host of the Leadership Revolution. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast from Public House Media.
Welcome and happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us here at Home with the Mitchells. I'm your host, Eugenia Mitchell. I'm a new mom, military spouse, flight attendant, influencer, and burgeoning entrepreneur. At Home with the Mitchells is a bi-weekly exploration of family, marriage, and the everyday adventure that is entrepreneurship. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe to your favorite podcast listening platform and join our story. From our family to yours, thank you so much for joining us. And welcome home. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today. It's our very first episode of At Home with the Mitchells, and I want to talk about something that has spearheaded my want to create this podcast. I want to talk to you today about moving in fear. Am I fearful in recording this? Yes. Am I fearful in making this podcast? Yes, but I'm moving through the fear. This can apply to relationships, professional aspirations, child rearing, diet, working out, literally anything. This is a life lesson I have learned and am still in the process of learning. Today, I want to be vulnerable in telling you a little bit of my story and the lessons I've learned along the way. In order for me to talk properly about my personal experience about moving in fear, I need to give you a little backstory about my experience as a social media influencer. In 2012, I left the military and I began my civilian life. In 2012, I also began a YouTube channel. That channel was used as a personal diary to document my natural hair journey. Y'all, my hair was so damaged from using and abusing it, from having sew-in hairstyles to bleaching my hair to having micro braids installed that were way too tight. You name it. I started this channel called Eugenia Says to document how I began to care for my naturally textured hair. I really wanted to make sure that I was providing the best content, the best stories, and the best imagery that my users could view. I wanted to make sure that they fully understood the steps that I took in my bathroom to get a certain hairstyle. So much so that my YouTube channel amassed over 18,000 followers and 1.8 million views. Everything was great. I was working with brands regularly, getting paid to make online content, attending launches and social events. I felt like my online brand was like popping. Okay, we was doing it. And then some pretty life-changing things began happening in my life. I went from a single flight attendant and socialite living in Atlanta to a new wife and new mom living in England. Just plucked me from my former life and plopped me into these new shoes that I am very thankful to be wearing. As you can understand, my priorities were shifted seemingly overnight. I needed to care for my family and to care for myself, and that left very little room for me to pour back into Eugenia Says. When my son was about 6 months old, I decided I wanted to get back into the game, back into my consistent posting schedule, and back to this online community that I had nurtured 8 years ago. As I prepared myself to jump back into my social media presence, something ominous sat on my chest, and it was fear. What if my audience isn't there anymore? What if they don't want to hear what I have to say? What if they don't care about me being a new mom and sharing glimpses of my real life in England? What if they don't care about breastfeeding? Like, England is not Atlanta. I started to put myself into a corner with these negative thoughts about why I couldn't pick up and start again. And I didn't execute. I just didn't. I did not create content. I did not post consistent content. And in result of that, my engagement on social media started to dwindle. I noticed my Instagram followers were leaving in masses. I was up to, 15,800 followers, and within the time frame that I disappeared from social media, my followers dwindled to 14,600 Instagram followers. One day I sat down with Dimitri and I told him, look, I want to get back to building my brand. When I told him that, I also told him about my fears, because if I feel safe telling my innermost fears to anyone, it's my husband. Dimitri is a very to-the-point person, one of the smartest people I know, and he said very plainly, look, you just have to be consistent. At the time, I didn't understand that his simple statement was the truth. It was simple as that. I just had to be consistent. So I stood back and I asked myself, Eugenia, what is stopping you from being consistent? And the simple answer was fear. Before I was married, before I became a new mom, I had all the time in the world to perfect this online community I created through Eugenia Says. I had time to painstakingly, agonize over every YouTube frame, over every edited photo, over every copy that I created attached to the photo. I had that time. Time was on my side. Whereas now, my time is split between my family, myself, and my brand. I had to find a way to implement new operating systems, completely overhaul the way I created and edited, especially, to ensure that I was staying consistent, but also putting out quality content. Because one thing I'm not going to do is put out trash. I'm just not going to do it. It was a huge learning curve because in the past, I could take my time obsessing over content because it was on my side. Whereas now, I have less time, but I still want to put out the same quality work. Although I wasn't posting consistently, I was still tapped into the social media world. I was seeing people who kind of started out with me getting opportunities and getting access and getting exposure that I equated in my mind that, hey, why don't I have these things? It was at this time I knew I was not ready and in a space to admit my own fault, that I wasn't being consistent. You can have the most amazing content, the most beautifully aesthetic and edited content, but if you are not consistent, you will never win. Okay? Someone who has subpar content, someone who maybe doesn't have the best captions, someone who doesn't even have as many followers as you will win because they are more consistent. Yeah, because they are creating the expectation with their audience that they're going to post every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that they're going to be there every Saturday or Sunday. They set up that expectation. When I went through this life shift, I really felt my audience and letting them know, one, what was going on truly, that I needed a break, and two, I didn't let them know what my posting schedule was. I had nothing to stick by. I feel like a lot of influencers don't thoroughly discuss their departures from social media, and when they come back, they do their audience a disservice by not touching base as to why they left and why that time was needed. And I'm here today with this podcast, to be honest with you. It was not until, I want to say, 4 to 5 months ago, I'm just being real, 4 to 5 months ago, when I started posting consistently, Monday through Friday. I started pre-plotting copy for my photos on Instagram and Facebook. I started creating podcast episodes Monday through Friday to ensure that I had an episode ready for you guys on Wednesday. And something really amazing started to happen. I started receiving opportunities. I had an opportunity and still do with Stasher Bags, which is an eco-friendly, reusable silicone bag company that I have been stalking and loving for so long on Instagram. And it took 4 to 5 months of me getting out of my own, get my whole life together and start posting consistently for me to gain opportunities with brands that I love and respect. We literally just had a staycation, 100% paid for. Huh? Are you hearing me? Like that little huh? Are you hearing me? Like, we had a staycation 100% paid for. I'm talking about lodging, amenities, food, everything, just in exchange for a review. And that's because they saw that I was posting, one, good content. I know my content's good, I just didn't do it regularly. And two, I'm posting consistently. So when companies see that, companies gravitate towards that. Companies want to work with people that are posting consistently. I was doing myself such a huge disservice by being I had no schedule. I was posting here, I was posting there. But 4 to 5 months ago, I got my life together, and I'm going to tell you how. 1, I started being more consistent with the photographs that I was taking. I didn't want to take myself out of certain moments, like when I went out with my family or when I was on a date night, but I did want to document enough where I could put my phone away for the rest of the night and know that when it came back to editing and preparing those photos for my social feed, that I had great photos, a great foundation to work with. So that's one, gathering content, leveraging your actual life, and collecting content. It doesn't mean you need to edit it right away. It means you just need to collect it so you can edit it later and repurpose it. 2, I started to automate. If you can automate, baby girl, automate. You need to automate. Okay. Planoly has free options and it also has a paid option. I prefer the paid option because you get more perks, but it's Planoly and it helps you post to Instagram and Facebook. It also helps you plan your Instagram stories. Instagram stories really helps with engagement, and that's a whole nother episode for a whole different day. 3, engagement. When you get a comment, you need to be responding. I started being more consistent about responding to comments and creating conversations around brands because nowadays that's what brands want. They don't want you on the hook for either a free product or compensation and just speaking the good graces of the brand. No, they want you to create a story lifestyle around their brand. They want it to be a conversation. They want it to seem natural. And you know what? It is natural because I only work with companies that I enjoy, that I incorporate into my life. And lastly, I would say, this is me personally. A lot of folks say it's not important, but to me, I think a cohesiveness in your brand is absolutely paramount. Your text font should be seamless through all of your social media platforms. So should your colors. Your color should be 3 main colors and accent colors, which can be black, white, gold, silver. It is 100% important to have that seamless story, no matter whether you're on Twitter, you're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You need to have a cohesive, put together color and text profile. Very, very important. I took these steps and I implemented those, and within 4 to 5 months, I started gaining steam. I feel like once you get that energy ball rolling into this is what I'm going to do and this is how I'm going to get it, then it will be yours. So was I fearful those 4 to 5 months, coming out of my comfort zone? Yes, a little bit, because, when you first start being more consistent and holding yourself more accountable, it will feel foreign. It will, because you're so used to being comfortable, so used to posting when you want to post that, it just works for you. The same thing goes for dieting. You're so used to eating as you wish and not eating to fuel your body and to feed your muscles and to, burn fat. It will be uncomfortable the first few days, weeks, even months. But if you are consistent and if you stick with it, whether it's child rearing, diet, any business aspirations you may have, you can do it. All you need to do is set out the plan and the framework to ensure that you're holding yourself accountable and that you're putting out great quality and doing your best, because that's all you can do. Every day is a new day to do your best. I'm so happy to say, with my 1,800 something followers on Instagram and my 80 little followers on YouTube, that I was able to secure the cover of a magazine. I was able to secure a 2-month deal with a fantastic brand that I can't wait to share with you guys. I was able to collaborate with a local manor here in England to have a staycation with my husband and, kind of bring him in on the benefits of, some hard work. And it's really amazing to be able to see these things. It's amazing to be able to work with companies like StoryCorps and Delta Airlines within the span of 4 to 5 months, you guys. I'm not kidding you. I made this episode and I say these things in a list format, not to brag. I say this to say that it can be done. You can come back from exile, so to speak, and start anew. You can change the way you feed your body and fuel yourself. You can improve some child rearing mistakes that you maybe have made in your past. You can repair relationships. You can reach those business goals and aspirations. You can reach those money savings goals and aspirations. It just takes a plan. And you know what? By nature, I am not a planner. I don't plan. I'm a Leo. I just do the things. I do all the things. And I am learning that while I can do things sporadically and well, I can do them damn better when I plan. And I know Dimitri is probably listening to this and laughing his little head off because my husband Dimitri is a planner, okay? He be planning all the things. So I want to close this episode by saying thank you so much. If you've gotten to minute 15, bless you, child. Thank you so much for listening to this episode titled Moving in Fear. I hope that it inspired you to take that next step, to stop beating yourself up, to hold yourself accountable, and take the steps you need to create the framework to achieve your aspirations. Don't forget to follow us at Home with the Mitchells on Instagram and Facebook, and visit our website at www.athomewiththemitchells.net. Thank you so much, and be kind to one another.